Thousands of pounds of drugs seized by U.S. Customs and Border Protection this year.
And a majority of those drugs are meth, cocaine, and fentanyl. Today, we're going to take a look at the U.S. drug seizures and what exactly is coming into the United States. 13 Action News anchor Josh Krupp also sits down with Ohio's Narcotic Intelligence Center and talks with them about what's happening across Ohio. Plus, where these drugs are coming from and how they're getting in to the U.S. The drug use and overdose deaths in the U.S. are the big story today.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, agents have seized more than 251,000 pounds of drugs from January to March of this year. That is a slight decrease in the amount of drugs seized during that same time period last year. According to CBP, agents have seized more than 83,000 pounds of marijuana, followed by meth, cocaine, and fentanyl. You can see the total pounds of those drugs seized on your screen. More than 34,000 pounds are other types of illicit drugs.
Meanwhile, the landscape of Ohio's illicit drug market is evolving at an unprecedented pace.
That's the message from state leaders who are working to intercept the drugs before they hit the streets. 13 Action News anchor Josh Krupp is live with us to explain the challenges that they're facing in Ohio. Josh?
And Tony, Tina, the Ohio Narcotics Intelligence Center, or ONIC, has 4 labs across the state, including one in Toledo. They work to detect, intercept, and identify dangerous drugs on the market. And leaders at the center say drug traffickers are getting creative. One reason they say this issue is evolving at an unprecedented pace is because of efforts by traffickers to experiment with different combinations of drugs. These are called Polydrug Mixtures, giving users a more potent high that is increasingly more lethal. ONIC is out with a new report that says half of pills on the illicit market are laced with potentially fatal doses of fentanyl. While Ohio did see among the largest decreases in the country in overdose deaths in recent years, officials say work is far from finished.
Because we know that polydrug mixtures are increasing in the market, there's no time to relax in this situation. There's no time to take our foot off the gas, so to speak. We've got to stay vigilant. We've got to keep reminding folks that one pill out there can kill.
And Tina, Tony, ONIC projects that Ohio's illicit drug landscape will become more decentralized and more unpredictable in the next 5 years as drug producers and suppliers increase and traffickers work to create those new mixtures. Tony.
Josh Krupp reporting live for us this afternoon. A majority of drugs are coming from Mexico into Ohio. The report finds that Mexican drug traffickers are using vehicles, commercial airlines, and mail to bring the drugs into Ohio to then be distributed. Some Ohio-based independent dealers are also using the dark web to order drugs that were then shipped into the Buckeye State. These Ohio-based dealers often work with Mexican traffickers to distribute fentanyl, cocaine, meth, and heroin in the state. And once the drugs are bought, they're then stashed in a building to facilitate criminal activity. And the report finds there are multiple stash houses in Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Toledo. These Ohio dealers range in size and capacity.
And of course, as more drugs come into the U.S., the risk of drug overdoses increases. According to ONIC, more than 27,000 Ohioans died from an unintentional overdose between 2017 and 2022. That's an average of 4,600 people every single year. According to the CDC, drug overdoses in the U.S. have increased by more than 500% over the last 2 decades. In 2022, more than 107,000 people died from a drug overdose, and about 76% of those overdose deaths involved opioids. Synthetic opioids were responsible for 90% of those opioid overdose deaths, and they involved, at times, multiple drugs, as we've heard. That is increasing, and research shows that people who have had at least one opioid overdose are likely to have another.
More people are using more than one drug at a time. The CDC says this often makes the drugs stronger, but also more deadly, putting more people at risk of overdosing. Today, police in Indiana arrested 2 teenagers after a high school student used a THC vape that was laced with fentanyl. That student overdosed and nearly died. Danielle Zukalski has the quick actions that likely saved that student's life.
Perry Township school officials say the student was using a THC vape that he did not know contained fentanyl. 2 other teen boys, 14 and 15, were arrested by Perry Township school police as a result.
Concerning because we have young people who are misusing substances experimenting with substances and they're unaware that there's fentanyl in almost everything that they can acquire.
Justin Phillips with Overdose Lifeline says access to the life-saving drug Narcan is crucial in saving lives.
Fentanyl in everything is real danger. So the student got to live because that school was smart and proactive.
When it comes to talking to your kids, Phillips says it's a must. Young people need to know that fentanyl is in most drugs, even ones that feel safe.
It's really about being able to talk to your young person about the dangers that exist, that it's not judgment, it's about love and understanding.
In a statement to families, Dr. Patrick Spray, the Perry Township School Superintendent, says it's urgent that you have an open conversation with your child or children about the risks of ingesting hidden substances that can be dangerous and potentially deadly. Please emphasize the importance of caution, as vapes can contain harmful drugs without the user's knowledge.
And some U.S. drug companies and pharmacies also being held accountable for the drugs being distributed in Ohio and other states. Currently, several major pharmacy chains, including CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, are liable for contributing to the opioid epidemic. And they've been sued, and now there are multiple settlements. Additionally, drug distributors and manufacturers have also faced lawsuits and settlements for their roles in the epidemic. The lawsuits claim the companies negligently or intentionally contributed to the oversupply of opioids, which has led to widespread addiction and overdose deaths.
Happening today, we should get an idea of how the city of Toledo plans to apply the funds from the Ohio opioid settlement. The state distributed millions to communities that have been hit hard by the opioid epidemic. And this afternoon, Toledo's Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform Committee meets. One of the items on the agenda will be to announce the grants to community organizations to support recovery and prevention efforts. The committee's agenda lists the grant award recipients: Neighborhood Properties, Ohio Guidestone, Ohio Recovery Housing, and Alvis. Awards range from $33,000 to nearly $450,000. If you're interested in going to this committee meeting, it's happening right now in council chambers.
And of course, we're on your side, continuing to cover the opioid epidemic and drug trafficking that's happening here in Ohio and all across the country. You can stay informed on any new measures that are being taken to stop drugs from entering the state by downloading the 13 Action News app. It's a free download in your phone's app store.